Let me talk about I have to lead into the characters. I can say, hey, there's a lot of characters here. I have to.
Are you blown away, like, at the amazing characters?
I'm thinking of the characters. I'm trying to find a way to start talking about the charades.
When did you? Who was one of the first characters you ever met at the flea market? And you're just like, who is this guy?
Oh, that would have to be my Uncle Pete, Pete Shevchenko.
People call you a character.
Yeah.
Do you think you're a character?
Mm-hmm. Hey, so back at when I got in this, I started. I would just pick the curb. So I would pick the curb at night, and then I'd go to the market on a Friday or Saturday with a load of stuff that I just pulled off the curb. So I have no money invested in it. And I would have guys like Tony Mother and Langhorne Tony, and these people had these names, Bogus Bob. These are names that these people got long before I got there, but I started to know these characters. So let's say Tony Mother, who had this elaborate antique shop. He had a great eye. He knew how to pick. He only wanted the good stuff, but he was a little cheap. So he would, like anything I asked, he wouldn't pay. So, hey kid, how much you want for this? I want $10. How about $7? He would say that if the thing was worth $1,000. And one day I ripped something out of his hand. I go, look, you're done. He goes, what do you mean I'm done? I go, I'm cutting you off. What do you mean you cut me off? I go, I get a headache selling to you, and I don't like headaches. Goodbye. He goes, oh, that's no way to be. I go, that's the way I'm going to be. You're done. So I cut him off. But in the meantime, you had guys like Langhorne Tony that with the same item, how much is this? You tell him it's $10. He couldn't get the money out of his pocket fast enough because he knew it was worth $100 or $500. Well, I like dealing with that guy. In fact, he ended up becoming one of my best friends. But so there's all types of characters. Then Bogus Bob. Who's this Bogus Bob? Well, he was a guy who had a phony story with everything he sold. He would come up with a story that just wasn't even true. So he got the reputation of Bogus Bob. It's not a, anyway. So I just realized that there's a lot of different characters in here. Then we had you just can't imagine who you're going to run into. Sometimes there are people that you would take home to dinner, and sometimes there are people you normally wouldn't even say hello to if they're on the street. But here they have merchandise. Merchandise is the mender of all, that can bind you. The guy's got great stuff. He's somebody you would never talk to out in the streets. You wouldn't take him home to your mother, but he's got some cool stuff. He's now your best friend. So this occurs, and then there's times where, like, you get into a little battle. I had a guy get into a fight with me one day because I promised him I'd sell him something, and then when I brought it to market, and I got a little education on it, now it's kind of like I wasn't really hip to selling it to him, and he got upset with me. Well, actually, I didn't really know the flea market protocol, and when I went to my friend Tony, who actually became my friend, and I told him my dilemma, he goes, well, Randy, merchandise heals all wounds. He goes, one day you're going to have something really cool, and that guy's going to forget there was ever a problem. And you want to know something? That exact scenario occurred. Months later, I came in with something cool. Here's a guy who hasn't talked to me in 4 months. I was on probation with him for 4 months, but I had something really cool that day, and he just swallowed that 4-month-old pill and bought the item off me for what I wanted. And it's true. So I learned from guys like Langhorne Tony that, I just learned a lot of different trade secrets, how to talk to people, how to sell to people, who to show the cool stuff to, who's going to give you the good money, and who not to show the stuff to. And sometimes you got to hide stuff from some people because they're going to want it, but they're not going to want to pay, but you like them. But so you just got to sometimes really cool merchandise. You have a one of a kind. You got to be careful who you show it to. And
tell me about a not for sale.
Not for sale.
A not for sale item.
Well,
the book makes noise when you rub it.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's not.
Okay, tell me about the characters. So then you started going across the country and you started meeting more and more characters, so now, running into people.
Right. So now I'm going across the country. Once I leave that little flea market where I started cutting my teeth, I start going to North Carolina, and I realize that there's like everyone's from the Northeast, but Northeasterners have like this rude reputation. But meanwhile, these are all the people from the Northeast that are nice. Like the nice people went to North Carolina. So I'm starting to get like I'm dealing with people that are saying thank you and please, and when I ask 10, they want to know would I take 9. They just have a really nice way. I'm like, holy cow, I love working with these people. So I started with North Carolina. It's 8 hours away from New Jersey. I would actually go on the weekends, and I learned 15 years later some of my best friends are there.
Like who?
Joe and Jody Hinge, who have Revival Antiques, but Molly, my friend Molly. But anyway, so I've developed a wonderful relationship with friends. I also have in the flea market. I've developed relationships with. I have my favorite customers of around the country are in that flea market.
Talk about the characters like Big John Valentino and Alligator, all these weird, crazy people.
Yeah. So then people get names, and they're not always given by me. Let's just say. So you run into somebody and like, oh my God, who is that? And they go, oh, it's Alligator Jeff. Well, Alligator Jeff. Well, how the hell does he get that name? So then they'll tell him, well, one day he drove around. This guy, Alligator Jeff, drove around with a 9-foot alligator in the back of his truck for 2 or 3 years. He lives in his truck. And he couldn't sell this alligator. So it lived with him for literally 2 years. So he got the name Alligator Jeff. So then you got Alligator Jeff. And then you got, Bogus Bob. And you just got these people with these names. And you just don't know how they got them.
And then you come here to Round Top.
Then I come to Round Top. And I meet the Harpers. That was really the first day, the rest of my life, the day I met Brandi Harper. The truth is, because I've met a lot of wonderful people over the years, but this woman is artistic. She's Texas, so her twang and her way she talks is novelty to me. The way I talk is novelty to her. And then the stuff I get is really cool to her. And then the way she decorates it is really cool to me. So we were just like a natural... I was like her source for cool stuff, and she was like who I learned from. I learned a lot from this girl who's not really in the selling business at the time. She's just a decorator, and I got invited to her house and met her family, and her husband's wonderful. And I realized these aren't the normal folks. They're not even the normal Texans. These guys they turn and burn 24 hours a day. I never met people that worked harder, that are more creative, and just willing to. And giving, not forget the giving. You go to their house and if they're having 8 people for dinner, they're cooking for 40. Just in case someone walks up with 20 extra people, they have plenty of food. And that just shows something about their character. But not only that, so I'm not there to just take from these people. These people have style and the way she does things. And she could take a broken thing that you couldn't sell to anybody and she'll hang it from a chandelier and it looks like $1 million. And then people come to her house and they're in awe, and then magazines come and take pictures, and movie cameras come film and stuff. I mean, she deserves all that. But her husband also is...
Tell me about Kevin.
Well, Kevin is quite incredible too. He's just full of energy. 6:30 in the morning, he wakes up with a smile and he's raring to go. Most people don't wake up like that with this, man, we're going to turn and burn today. Everything's positive. He is... They could be predicting thunderstorms, tornadoes, and the last day on Earth is coming. And this guy's ready to tackle the world. I've never met anyone like him. And I don't say that like because he's just really cool and great. He really gets it done. He talks the talk and walks the walk, more so than anybody I ever met. He could tell you, I got this or I'll do that. He will got this and do that. Brandi could walk into a field and say, Kevin, I think that barn would look nice in our backyard. Kevin wouldn't be like, hell, honey, how are we going to get it there? He'd be like, sure, let's do it. And he would do it. He would get the trucks necessary. I just never met anybody so eager to take on the challenge with the things that his wife will walk into something and say, Kevin, I'd like that in our bathroom. And most people would be like, well, we couldn't even get it through the door. How are you going to get that in your bathroom? Kevin will take the door down, remove the wall, and get that in the bathroom for her. And then in the end, people would be like, how the heck did you ever get that in here? Well, I'm married to Kevin Harper. That's how good she's got it, and that's how good he's got it.
They think big and they dream big, right?
They think big, they dream big, and they get it done big. It's just amazing. I've never really met people that are capable, and I'm not saying they work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, but when the show's going on and they're prepping for a show, she could go 20 hours a day, that girl. I've flown to Vegas to do a show with her, and after the show, she's in her hotel room in Vegas while other people are on the strip. She's with an anvil hammering spoons to make bracelets with the next day because she's sold out of bracelets. Her wonderful bracelets sold out, so quick one day. She was but she was prepared. She knew that she'd have to be making extra bracelets. But that's the kind of woman she is. She's in Vegas. While other people are partying on the strip, she's making bracelets in her hotel room with an anvil. Bang, 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 till 10:30 at night. It's just amazing. The fruits of her labor they're just wonderful. When it's all done, what she creates and gets done, it's just amazing. So
and the friendship you guys have now, they come to you as a resource. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, so now we've developed a great friendship. When Brandi Harper first told me she was setting up here at the Warrenton Antique Show, she goes, "You got to come see my booth." So I went over, and it wasn't even set up and displayed, and she had pallets and rusty bed springs, and she had some of the worst stuff I've ever seen laying on the ground. I was like, I don't know if this girl's going to make it. That's really what I thought. And meanwhile, when she displayed it all, and she had, springs hanging, whole bed springs hanging from the ceiling with stuff hanging from, she wheeled in a camper and used it as a dressing room. I mean, she really won me over when a couple days later I came in her booth and I saw this wonderful merchandise that she made displayed on this junk she had piled up. I couldn't believe it. I said, this girl is a wizard. She really is. I never met anybody like that, I'm saying to myself. Well, the truth is, I never met anyone like her. And separately, I've never met anyone like her husband. I've never met a man like that. It's true. It's really the way I feel about these people. So together, it's compounded. The team, what she could think of and what he could accomplish, I mean, it's just amazing what this guy can do, will do. I've driven around Texas, and I would go on my journeys to their house. I'd be like, Kevin, I just saw a sign down there. Gosh, if you could ever get that, that would be awesome. Well, the sign's 15 or 18 feet tall. A month later, he's telling me, hey, that sign, I bought it. What do you mean you bought it? Yeah, crack a deal with the guy. I go, how are you going to get it down? I'm going to hire a crane. He's going to get a crane to come over there and take it down. Well, when they went to go take it down, it was still too big. They had to cut it in 3 pieces and put it on a flatbed to get it to market. He sold it off the flatbed without ever even setting it up. He showed it to one buyer who said, how much, gave him a price and got. I'm just saying, there's people that can't get, even if they wanted the Hearst Castle, they wouldn't know how to get it home. Kevin Harper will have it in his backyard this year if he wanted it. If his wife wanted it, he'll have it in his backyard.
Tell me about your relationship that they come to you now, and like with the ledgers, like they ask you about.
Well, then, so now we have a situation where I am knowledgeable. They have this great decorator eye, and they'll run into things that they don't really know. Maybe it's antique value, and they'll quiz me. They'll shoot me pictures. They'll text me, hey, we're looking at this. What can I get for this or something? So then I'll guide them. I can tell them what I think the market is, and sometimes I'm shooting way over his expectations. He might be buying these things for $1 a piece, and I'm telling him he get 10 a piece for him, and he's doing a dance. There, that's what I'm talking about. Bam. So
or like the ledgers.
Yeah, like the ledgers. Let's say he showed me a photograph of these ledgers, and he showed me the price that they were available at. I said, Kevin, buy every one of them. So
and they've been hot.
Yes, without really knowing what he got, he bought them, and they've been selling like hotcakes. So the ledgers here behind me are all out of one department store in Luling, Texas, the Walker Brothers department store, who sold everything. They were the Walmart of 1910. They sold tractor plows, overalls. I got receipts from hat companies, overall companies, gun companies, plow companies, light bulb companies, not phonograph companies, but other electronic companies. Anyway, so they sold even groceries. They had flour. They had all kinds of stuff. They had livery stuff. They had sold saddles. They even sold mules and horses in their early days before they really became a department store. But so we have records in these books of 1880s when they're selling mules to people, all the way up into the 40s where they're selling them, tractor plows and overalls and things like that. So we have those records. But in my hand here, through all those ledgers, this is unrelated to the rest of the pile. This is a ledger from 1886 where one of the Walker brothers was the mayor of the town. So that's how this got in his barn, is because he was the mayor, and he was signing this is all court records. So this is court cases. Now there are no felonies or
still.
There's no felonies, but it's mostly misdemeanors. Drunkenness, exposure of person is in here. Now I think that might be like urinating in the street, but still you got busted for it. So those are the crimes here: drunkenness, urinating in the street, swearing and abusive language, and all these things here. And then you were fined $1 to $25. Some cases you were ordered to work for people, locals. They would take you and make you work for a local, and then it would say escaped. Like the guy was like on a. It's kind of like doing community service.
Work detail.
Yeah, work detail. But then he escaped. So this is the Wild Wild West in the 1880s. 1886, Texas. It's like being in Tombstone, Arizona, even though this isn't Tombstone. So we don't have Wyatt Earp and Billy the Kid in here. But this is the 1880s. Court records of misdemeanors. And it's just so awesome that this book was discovered in that pile. Most of the books, because of what he paid, which wasn't much, we've been selling to decorators for an upcharge just to decorate with. This one here is going to get sold for its historical value, which is going to be well over $100, whereas the other ones are selling for well under $100. So anyway, this is a great piece of Texas history right here, 1880s.
But you get to put that on a table and let somebody buy that history and take it home. Tell me that.
Right. So basically, this was in a barn for 80 years. And now it lands in my hands. It could have.
And now I'm going to,
Now I'm going to tell people.
Let's do that. Start again.
Right. So anyway.
This was in a barn.
This was in a barn for 80 years. It was basically the trash for that company. There's their records. It's like you throwing out your filing cabinet of canceled checks from the 50s. They don't need this book anymore. This is nothing to them. So it's in a barn for 80 years. Now it's in my hands. I have it on a table. I'm going to tell people how good the inside of this book is. And I actually have a woman that I told how wonderful it was, and she's really willing to buy it. So we just got to.
No, but tell me how. So the big picture. So a book like this is in a barn for 80 years. It ends up in my hands, and I'm able to continue to tell the story of America by putting it for sale in a flea market somewhere. That's what I'm looking for. The 30,000-foot view. So ready? Here we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm listening to y'all's stories. Cool.
We got a lot of stories.
I could tell.
You do?
I did.
You can tell. I got a lot of stuff you don't need.
You and everybody else I've run into.
Let's finish this one because the camera's rolling. I want to take up all your space on your thing.
I want to do that right now.
Okay.